G'day guys, Matt from Vaping Australia here. Back again with another video for our Vaping 101 webinar series that's helping to get Aussies in the know about herb vaping. Now, one of the most basic principles when it comes to herb vaping is the notion of conduction versus convection vaping. Now, when we talk about conduction and convection, the most simple example I can think of are ovens. So you've got a conduction oven. It's basically just like an old style gas oven with an element in the top. You got to make sure that you're keeping an eye on what's inside so that it's not burning. When you've got a convection oven, so the more newer modern ovens that are fan force style, you know, there's not anywhere near as much of a risk of things catching on fire because it's just the air that's being heated. There's no singular heat element that's helping to heat the content. It's just the whole oven is moving around constantly. So it helps to deliver a lot more even heating sort of output. We've had many experiences with vaporizers. So conduction vaporizers often leave sort of hot spots and can end up in combustion. So really not what people are looking for when you switch to vaping. So when we talk about combustion, you just have to think of a traditional pipe. So you have sort of a material on the inside like a tobacco or a herbal material. And you hit that with the lighter and it's just combusting. So it's heating that plant material up to about 300, 400 degrees Celsius. And what that's doing is, even though if it's not radioactive, it won't cause any long-term bronchial effects or cancer or anything like that. In the short term, it leaves you short of breath, can raise your heart rate, and it's just not what we're looking for when we look at a good herb vaporizer. So some herb vaporizers like the Ald Amaze WOW do utilize a conduction form of vaping. So the reason they do this is because this is more of a budget entry-level vaporizer. So it's still a good device, but it costs a lot more money to put a convection heater into a vaporizer, because then you're looking at heating all of the air that's going in instead of just heating a single little element that's helping sort of to create a vapor. So if we look inside the chamber of the Ald Amaze WOW, you can see it's got a single ceramic plate. So you load all your herbs onto that. An embedded heating element helps to heat that ceramic, and so as you're taking sort of air through it and intaking, it will convert that into vapor. But obviously, if you have it up too high, so the temperature's too high, it can turn the herb on the inside black. So it's not going to combust it, but it gets very near to that space and it can definitely affect the flavor. So what the remedy is to that is they include these conduction pods, which are also referred to as dosing capsules, dosing cards, whatever you'd like. So in that case, it's not actually touching the chamber. So the heated element isn't in contact with the herb. It comes into contact with this basket, which has the herbs inside of it. So there's sort of a middleman, if you'd like to think of it like that, between the herb and the heating element. So that helps to sort of get you a bit more flavoursome vapor, but it's definitely not going to be as much visible vapor as a traditional conduction vape. So when we look at the Haze is also a hybrid conduction convection vaporizer. It's got these conduction baskets that go on the inside that are sort of serrated around the middle so that there is contact between the chamber and the herb. They also include these convection baskets that are solid. So there's just a solid bit of stainless steel mesh. So there's absolutely no contact between herb and chamber. And as I said, the vapor you're getting is a bit less visible, but a lot more flavoursome. Now, when we're looking at full convection vaporizers, like the FocusVape Swift Pro and the Volcano Digit Desktop Vaporizer, there's a bit more money involved, but there's also a lot more benefits. So the flavor that you're going to be getting out of these devices is unparamount compared to these two. So with the Swift Pro, for example, as you're intaking air through the bottom, the air is being directly heated by the heating element on the inside, but that heating element does not make any contact with the chamber. So the heat inside that chamber is actually so low that you can have all these interchangeable walls in there at the same time. So these ones are made of wood, and now you know if wood was being heated up to 200, 300 degrees, obviously it would combust. But with this, all it does is add a subtly sweet flavor to the vapor path. Now with the Volcano Digit Desktop Vape that runs off a full convection heating style, you can actually heat the device up to the required temperature for vaporization before you even introduce the herbs into the mix. So that first hit that you're taking of herb vapor is completely pure. It hasn't already lost any of its initial flavonoids or anything like that. And it's really the tastiest way to consume your herb material. So with the Volcano, you just put your herb in this little chamber, have it preheated, you just hit the button on the front, and that's just blowing the air through that's generating the vapor. So again, zero contact between the chamber and the herb. So guys, I hope that's given you a bit more of an insight into conduction versus convection vaping. And remember to check out the rest of the videos in our Vaping 101 webinar series to stay up to date with herb vaping.